Welcome to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight, and not just any millionaire but someone holding onto a tiny copper coin that collectors whisper about like it's a hidden treasure map waiting to be discovered, because today we're diving into a coin that looks completely ordinary at first glance, a simple 1958 wheat penny. Yet behind its modest appearance lies a story so shocking that even seasoned collectors have done double takes. When hearing about its potential value reaching as high as $60 million, yes, you heard that right, a single penny that could rewrite your entire life story if you happen to find the right one. And before you think this sounds too crazy to be real, stick with me, because not only will we break down exactly why this coin can reach such insane heights, but I'll also hint at another coin coming up next that might be even more unbelievable, and trust me, you don't want to miss that one. Now, let's get into the heart of this incredible story as we reveal that the rarest versions of the 1958 wheat penny, especially those with extremely unusual mint errors or proof-only anomalies, have been estimated and in some private collector discussions rumored to reach values approaching tens of millions, making it one of the most talked about pennies in modern numismatic circles. And the reason this humble coin has captured so much attention begins with its historical background, because 1958 was the final year of the wheat penny design before the United States transitioned to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. Which means this coin represents the closing chapter of an era that began back in 1909 when Abraham Lincoln first appeared on the penny, and collectors absolutely love end of series coins because they symbolize a transition point in history. But what really pushes certain 1958 wheat pennies into legendary territory is not just their age or design but the rare and mysterious minting errors that somehow slipped past quality control at the mint, including double die obverse where the lettering appears duplicated, off-center strikes that create a visually dramatic look, and even experimental planchets that were never meant for circulation. And here's where things get interesting, because one of the most famous and elusive varieties is the 1958 double die obverse penny. A coin so rare that only a handful are believed to exist, making it one of the rarest Lincoln cents ever produced. And when something is that scarce, collectors don't just want it, they obsess over it, they compete for it, and they are willing to pay mind-blowing amounts to secure it for their collections. Now imagine this scenario for a second. You're going through an old jar of coins passed down from a relative, maybe something sitting in a drawer for decades. And among those coins is a 1958 wheat penny that looks slightly different. Maybe the date appears doubled, maybe the lettering isn't perfectly aligned, and instead of spending it or ignoring it, you decide to take a closer look. That one decision could be the difference between holding a 1-cent coin and holding a piece of history worth a fortune. And stories like this are not just hypothetical, because over the years collectors have reported discovering rare coins in the most unexpected places, from garage sales to inherited collections, and even pocket change, proving that these treasures are not always locked away in museums but sometimes hiding in plain sight. And what makes the 1958 wheat penny even more fascinating is how it combines accessibility with extreme rarity, because millions of these pennies were minted, yet only a microscopic number possessed the unique characteristics that make them valuable, creating this wild contrast where most examples are common but a select few are essentially priceless. And that's exactly what fuels the excitement in the coin collecting world, the idea that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon something extraordinary without even realizing it at first. And as we dig deeper, it's important to understand that condition also plays a massive role in determining value, because a well-preserved coin with sharp details, minimal wear, an original luster can command significantly higher prices than one that has been heavily circulated. And when you combine top condition with a rare error, that's when things get truly insane in terms of valuation. We're talking about coins that become the centerpiece of elite collections, coins that are discussed in hushed tones at auctions, coins that spark bidding wars among collectors who understand just how rare these pieces really are. And speaking of auctions, while not every 1958 wheat penny has sold for astronomical amounts, the few that possess unique and verified errors have achieved prices that shocked even experienced numismatists, reinforcing the idea that this coin is not just another penny, but a potential jackpot waiting to be discovered. And here's something else that adds to the mystery: the fact that not all rare varieties have been fully documented, meaning there could still be undiscovered versions out there, sitting quietly in collections or jars, waiting for someone to notice their uniqueness, and that possibility alone keeps collectors constantly searching, constantly checking, constantly hoping that the next coin they examine could be the one. And this is where I want you to pay close attention, because later in this video we're going to talk about another coin that might be even more shocking than this one, a coin that takes rarity and value to a whole new level. So don't go anywhere, because if you thought the 1958 wheat penny was impressive, what's coming next will seriously blow your mind. Now back to our coin. One of the biggest reasons collectors chase the 1958 wheat penny is its symbolism as the final wheat cent combined with the thrill of error hunting. It's like owning the last page of a historic book that also happens to have a misprint that makes it incredibly rare, and that combination is irresistible to serious collectors. And let's be real for a second. In a world where most people are glued to digital transactions and barely pay attention to physical money anymore, the idea that a simple coin could hold such immense value feels almost unreal. Yet that's exactly what makes coin collecting so exciting. It connects us to history, to craftsmanship, to moments in time that we can literally hold in our hands, and the 1958 wheat penny is a perfect example of that connection, a small piece of copper that carries decades of history and the potential for life-changing value. And before we wrap this up, I want to remind you again to stick around, because the next coin we're about to explore has a story that's even more unbelievable, a coin that pushes the boundaries of what people think is possible in the world of numismatics. So keep watching, because you do not want to miss what's coming next. And remember, check your coins. Look closely, because the next time you see a 1958 wheat penny, it might not just be a penny, it might be a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1948 wheat penny. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over. Not because it's shiny or new, but because it carries a secret so rare that its value has been whispered to climb as high as $70 million. And the wildest part is that most people wouldn't even give it a second glance. They'd spend it without hesitation, completely unaware that they just let go of something that could have changed their life forever. Because today we're diving into the mysterious and highly sought after 1948 wheat penny, a coin that looks simple on the surface yet hides a story filled with rarity, history, and jaw-dropping potential. And if you thought the last coin was unbelievable, just wait until you see how this one takes things to another level. But before we get too far ahead, let's break down why this coin has become such a legend among collectors, and why you absolutely need to pay attention until the very end, because the details you're about to hear might make you rethink every single penny you've ever handled. Now, right from the start, let's talk about the staggering potential tied to certain rare versions of the 1948 wheat penny, with some collector estimates and private sales discussions pushing its value into the tens of millions. When you're dealing with ultra-rare mint errors, pristine condition, and historically significant anomalies. And while not every 1948 penny is worth more than face value, the rare ones are in a completely different universe, and that's exactly what makes this coin so thrilling, because the difference between an ordinary coin and a life-changing one can come down to the smallest details. Now, to understand why this coin is so important, we need to go back to 1948, a time when the world was still recovering from World War II, economies were stabilizing, and the United States Mint was producing coins in massive quantities to meet the needs of a growing nation, and during this time, the wheat penny design was still in full swing, featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the two wheat stalks on the reverse, symbolizing prosperity and growth. But as with any large-scale production process, mistakes were inevitable, and those mistakes are exactly what collectors hunt for today, because within the millions of coins produced, a tiny fraction emerged with unique characteristics that set them apart from the rest, and these are the coins that have turned ordinary people into accidental treasure hunters. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1948 wheat penny is the variety of errors and anomalies that have been reported over the years, including double dies where the inscriptions appear slightly duplicated, off-metal strikes where the coin was accidentally struck on the wrong type of planchet, and even misaligned dies that create subtle yet valuable imperfections. And while these might sound like flaws, in the world of coin collecting they are considered incredibly desirable features, because they make each coin one of a kind, and when rarity meets demand, the result is a surge in value that can reach astonishing levels. Now imagine this scenario: you inherit a small collection of coins from a family member, nothing fancy, just a handful of old pennies, and among them is a 1948 wheat penny that looks just a bit different. Maybe the lettering isn't perfectly crisp, maybe the color seems unusual, and instead of ignoring it, you decide to have it examined by an expert, only to discover that it's one of those rare error coins that collectors dream about. That moment of realization, that instant where something so ordinary becomes extraordinary, is what keeps people hooked on coin collecting. And stories like this have happened more times than you might think, with rare coins being discovered in the most unexpected places, from flea markets to old piggy banks, proving that these treasures are still out there waiting to be found. And this is exactly why I keep telling you to stay with me, because the deeper we go into these coins, the more you'll start to see just how much potential could be sitting right under your nose. And even though this is the final coin in our lineup, it stands as the ultimate example of how something so small can carry such immense value, because the 1948 wheat penny isn't just about money, it's about history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. And let's talk about condition for a second, because this is where things can skyrocket. A well-preserved 1948 penny with sharp details, original mint luster, and no significant wear can command significantly higher attention from collectors. But when you combine that level of preservation with a rare error or anomaly, you're looking at a coin that could become the centerpiece of a world-class collection. The kind of coin that sparks bidding wars and makes headlines. And what makes this even more exciting is the possibility that not all rare varieties have been discovered yet, meaning there could still be undiscovered treasures hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with a keen eye to uncover them. And that's where you come in, because the next time you come across a 1948 wheat penny, whether it's in your pocket, a jar, or an old collection, you'll know that it's worth taking a closer look, because you never know what you might find. And as we bring this journey to a close, just remember this: every coin has a story, but some stories are worth more than others, and the 1948 wheat penny proves that even the smallest piece of history can hold unimaginable value, turning an ordinary moment into an extraordinary discovery that could change everything.